right, episode 4 of Masters of the Air. And yes, well, it is no Band of Brothers. I don't even think it's the specific. The show's kind of moving away from that quality. It's more dramatic than any action or things like that. The best stuff happened off screen, and I don't know exactly why. So I'm assuming we'll get in episode 5 a flashback to the events of episode 4. They're in Africa, if you remember. They're in Algeria because they did their mission. They kind of flew on through, and it kind of opens with some of the iconic imagery that we see in some of the trailers and some of the footage. And then you have this moment, they're watching a plane come in. This is the famous image that's been used in some of the promotional material. And then you have the image of where this plane comes in, where Dai is his name. He's completing his 25th mission, so he's basically become a celebrity. 25 missions get you a ride home, parades, and all that kind of stuff. So that's what's going to happen. We cut back to the story of the guy that's stranded in Belgium. He's getting some help with some rebels and that kind of thing, trying to keep him alive. And that's what they're basically going through, how they're going to smuggle him out. And then he runs into a couple other blokes, and they're all there basically to get instructions. Well, no, they're not. They're there to be interrogated. And they're asked all these sort of bizarre questions like, I don't know, who'd Babe Ruth play for, and sing the Star Spangled Banner and all of that. And you have sort of this back and forth that's happening, and it seems very tedious and menial, like nothing matters. And then they go out to the woods on their way, and then they shoot the one guy. So they figured out that he is not American, and they take him out. Let me cut to the credits. Now, with this said, I have to be honest, even though this episode is a lot of sort of like character filler, character development filler, it does at least capture some moments and some different things that were happening during the war, things that you would need to know about survival and stories that were really not told. I think all of that is a positive, but at the same time, the show does move very slow and very methodical. So, 6 minutes of intro. We have the credit, which, by the way, the credits are so good. I spent most of my time watching the credits going, where are all these shots? Where are all these scenes? Where is all of this? So I don't exactly know what to expect in the latter half of the season, but I want more of this that's in their credits. They kind of cut back to base where they're talking about Dai coming in, people sitting around, and women celebrating. And there he is. There's your hero, and they're going to have this party. And the biggest problem that I still have is they don't have a lot of distinct characterization for us to get a hold of who people are. They have new groups coming in. So there's these 4 new guys. So literally the introduction is, all right, here you go. Here's Rosenbaum and Miller and Toe Jam and Fred and they're like, well, yeah, we're from Texas. We're the underwear group. And they had this little gag about how it was so hot in Texas they flew in their underwear one time, and that's supposed to be funny. And I'm assuming that's a true story. Otherwise, there's no point of putting something like that in because it was actually quite distracting. Anyway, so they're going to be part of the team going up, and Buck, that's Buck and Buck, the one guy who gets up the guts to ask the girl to dance, and they're bonding, and you have all of that kind of take place before you cut to the bigwig showing up and Buck talking, and get your girls on, guys, get out there and get your girls. So he's got his eye on one, Buck's got his eye on one, and then we're cut back to the boys, and they're basically being told that the teenage girl is going to be their handler, and they don't like it, but she is sort of like girl bossing them around. Like girl boss, she knows the ins and outs. She's so good at everything. And then you cut back to the girl that he's picked up, which is basically she's almost okay. I don't even know what's said or not said here, but she rides a very fine line of basically being a prostitute. There's a quick little story about losing her husband before they kind of get into things, and what that kind of entails, where he is. They sleep together. The biggest depth of the backstory is because his character becomes center stage for sure, is his conflict of war and what he does as a bomber, dropping bombs and killing people, but that's sort of like ipso facto, doesn't matter in war, sort of morality conflict that the character is having. Don't know how much of this is rooted in real life or not, but I can imagine some person somewhere had those type of conflicts. They head out for basically a reenactment of the uh, near impossible task they had in the early episode, and they're going to try again and get in there and take out U-boats and things like that. So they had this little side story, and again, this is one of those things that would be documented in one of the books. So I'm assuming that we somebody will fact check this for us, but this guy's trying to do this repair. He's like, "Don't worry about us. I'll repair it. You don't have to wait." And he crawls inside on the runway. He's doing the repair inside, That's what's happening here. So it's I can do it. I can do it. Trust me, I can do it. You won't be late. You won't be late. You won't have to drop out of the mission. So they pull alongside in this Jeep and they grab him. So cut the girl boss on the train, saving the two guys. And then there's some Yahtzees. And this guy panics and creates a frenzy. And then for some reason, there's some other rando girl who comes to his rescue. So the girls sort of like know how to navigate how the Germans are like looking for dissenters and looking for people who are smuggling other people around and things like that. So they kind of know all the routine. I don't know if it's because they're girls, because they're not really playing it up as being flirtatious. They're just playing it up. Anyway, so then we cut back to them coming home from the mission. And that's like I said in the opening, the best part would have happened off screen because we didn't see what happened. We just know it did happen. And then there's all this sadness and stuff about who didn't come back, which was basically Austin Butler's character, the main character, and his team, which included the new guys and the guy that got the girl. So we cut back to this guy. He's on leave, by the way. So there was a quick little comment about taking a shore leave, and he's just going to go. And that's when he meets the girl. He's been sleeping with the girl. So he's actually not on base. He was not part of this mission. I kind of like didn't catch that quite at first. I had to kind of go back and like, wait a minute. But this because this episode is just all about talking. It's all about just conversations and stuff. This is more about that anti-war theme where he's actually seen where a bomb hit this building, or a person screaming, and basically you kind of get this sense of, I do that. I do that for other people. He calls in, he finds out about the other buck. I'm coming in, going to the next mission, and that's the end of the episode. If it feels like not a lot of happened in this episode, is because it was a lot of filler. Now, it's not that it's awful, but it is pretty boring. And we're now 4 episodes in, and I don't feel like we have much meat on the bone. And compared to the other 2 series, this is drifting further and further away from the quality and the legacy of those shows. So, not the worst show in the world. I'm enjoying it. It's still one of the better shows that I'm watching, but it's not going to be. It's not going to hold a candle to the other shows. So, continue to keep those comments coming. I appreciate all the feedback, and hopefully, you guys are enjoying something of the show. Love to hear from you. Thank you so much. I am Pops.